Hello, everyone. Welcome to this very late episode of Concordia in advance of the coronation tomorrow. It's going to be a particular and specific point in time that is about to bring some changes for most. You may have heard or seen the previous episode of Spiritual Course of Equity with myself and Harrison as we go through and basically remove all the groupings. So when all the resolutions are complete and the groups and the influences are dealt with and put in the appropriate place, what that leaves within you is yes, there will be levels that will be removed from those episodes that you view. You lovely people, I'm very grateful for that, by the way. And there will be some kind of other highlighted residue as a result. So what I wanted to do was, in this story of this point in time, no time, deep space, no time, with Concordia, Consularis, the spiritual business agency of peace. I just wanted to show you something that is going to be really useful for you now into the future. And one of the reasons why I keep talking about resolutions, spiritual contracts, is because we need to be mindful of what we're doing on our spiritual journeys. And that could mean, what am I promising here? What am I giving in agreement? What am I saying in dark moments under my breath when I feel a really negative response or emotion? We need to take all of these things into consideration, and it really is bigger picture stuff. So what we're going to do is a demonstration for you. And why do I say we? Because I encompass many things, as do you. And I want to take you through a process showing you how to connect to your own spiritual court of equity. And with this transmission, it will bring you the same results when you do this for yourself on your own, in your own time, past, present, or future. So we're just going to begin and just breathe. Let go of the day. Let go of the eons of trauma, just in this moment, just for this moment. And find a space within yourself that is deepest, the deepest part of you that only you know about, only you sense within you. It is your eternal infinite knowingness that is your soul. Just breathe into the heart, connecting to that experience. And you come back into the center of your being, without polarity, without any sense of, I'm connected to this, I'm connected to that. We're disentangling you, and you are disentangling you in this moment, because you already gave permission to do it with yourself and your presence. Breathe in, disentangle from everybody, everything. And this is the perfect state of beingness, because there's nobody knocking on your door. There's nobody no external interference that is forcing you to interact with it. And this could be state, it could be family, it could be partnerships, relationships, work, any kind of experience that keeps you connected and interconnected to those that do not have your best interests at heart. And there are many, as we know. All the best will in the world, everybody. So just let that go in this moment. Breathe in again. Rest me now. And out. Just remember who you are in this moment. You remember yourself, your time, your space, your movement, your achievements, accomplishments. You just sit with self. No other external means reaching for you, because you've already let them go. Just out of your being for these moments coming on. These are essential teachings for your future, everybody's future, and for the existence of your culture, your individual soul. Breathe. So, in this still, neutral moment, neutral is best. No polarity, just being. And you connect to the spirit and the soul that you are. From an infinite perspective, do you remember? Little flashes of joy can be felt deep within, because you know, because it makes that knowing vibrates through your system and makes you feel like you're the whole instrument, and you're the instrument of your soul, focused here on earth. So with that focus, because you're focused here on earth, focus to your personal spiritual court of equity. And you know where it is, because you know where it's been. You remember it. Your own innate internal pathway to the resolution of the greater experience that you've already had. Breathe, connect, open. And in this particular case, I'm opening to, and I'm demonstrating this GB specific revocation, and we're going to talk you through it at the same time. So, into that spiritual court of equity, you are focusing on all your spiritual contracts. And you see, the thing is, you can do this because if you're watching this video and you're watching me, you're of a certain level that knows. Okay, so let's move forward. I won't interrupt anymore this flow. So you opened your spiritual court of equity. You are in neutral, in observation, and you're viewing it like you're viewing me. And this is a revocation that I based on GH, a government revocation, but I made it very specific for Britain. And part of it's actually doing all right, notice, but you'll see this. So into this spiritual court of equity, I'm bringing all my ancestors, all the ancestors that I'm connected to, all relations, all cultures, and all of me. And I make a declaration to all those that try and entangle me into their experience, those that seek to suppress me on the greater levels of my day-to-day experience, which in this particular case is the government and the system of domination and control, and those beings that incarnated as one big family in a grouping that controls humanity, or through their psyche, through the submission of free will. It's a bit of a big picture. Anyway, so I'm going to move forward because we're in our own personal spiritual course of equity. And you're making this declaration. At the exact moment, in this ever-present moment, meaning right now, you are going to cancel all the contracts. I hereby cancel all spiritual contracts that deal with government personalities, elected and unelected, or non-government organisations. I revoke all spiritual contracts with all family crest-based government systems. I revoke all rights, all duties, responsibilities to all government entities that use my vote as a means of harvesting energy. I revoke all spiritual contracts with Great Britain and Commonwealth countries, every establishment, mystery school, political organisation, Prime Minister, Member of Parliament, Cabinet members, House of Lords, Supreme Court judges, Queen's Bench, solicitor, barrister, magistrate, county councillor, town councillor, Tavistock Institute member, of which it is no more, by the way, HMRC and subsidiary companies, the Corporation of London, Vatican, Church of England, all members of the monarchy and their ascendants or descendants, or hierarchical organisation of government, all governance, seen and unseen. I revoke all spiritual contracts with every branch of government from all of my past, present and future lives. I do not consent to the rule by a privileged few. I revoke all rights, responsibilities, assumptions, presumptions and signatures that retain me within the entirety of any or all government organisations, family crests, sacred geometry buildings, monuments, obelisks, memorials or military bases, or military industrial complexes, GCHQ, MI5, MI6, and Royal Intelligence gathering hubs, and other covert means of analysis. All spells within documentation such as ID cards, passports and driving licenses, databases are cancelled and void. I hereby revoke all spiritual contracts with a monarchy and or corporate-run maritime government. I do not consent to any form of corporate maritime government that harvests energy from its people. I revoke all spiritual contracts with all banking cartel families. I revoke all rights, assumptions and responsibilities with every member of the Bank of England, Eurozone, IMF, subsidiaries and all exchange for value systems run by any government or corporate officials. I revoke all spiritual contracts hidden within our government exchange for value system. I revoke all spiritual contracts with all government offices that use sacred geometry crests to retain power or insert fine print in soul contracts via any and all means. I revoke all rights, privileges, powers assumed and unassumed, consented and unconsented with every HM enforcement branch that uses Bank of England and Bank of International Settlements energy to support the system of domination and control at a core level in this universe, seen and unseen. I revoke, tiring, isn't it? I revoke all spiritual contracts that create consent for the government committees and think tanks that determine quality of life. I revoke all historical tacit consent and consent given previously by all ancestors in unawareness and duplicitous action. I revoke all duties, rights, responsibilities for all government systems that write laws that affect my spiritual contracts without my direct consent from my total DNA lineage ancestors, past, present, and future. I revoke all spiritual contracts that enable the government to use time travel as a means of domination and control. I revoke all rights and duties of all time traveller personalities, operation systems, past, present and future, including those using Greenwich Mean and Summertime. I demand the immediate return of all government time travel personalities to their right and perfect timeline and impacts removed from all those affected. For it was many a soul. I revoke all rights with technologies that alter dimensions, right? This is your disconnection to their projections, that manipulate time streams or do harm to any sentient life forms coexisting on Earth in all timelines and dimensions. I do not consent to timeline wars or proxy wars. I do not consent to mass propaganda. I do not consent with war-based industrial complexes. I do not consent with the use of the military to dominate and control other places, times. I do not consent to the unsacred way of life that your establishment has tried to implement on Earth throughout the ages. I do not consent to the destruction of the family unit by state monarchy-led implementation of suffering. And that's a very silent and deep journey. Do not suffer on behalf of the few or anybody. I do not consent to the use of ritual as a means to destroy a sentient being. I do not consent to elite hierarchy of any kind. I do not consent to the rules of your reality. I hereby remove all of your rules from my reality. I demand a full repayment of all energetic investments. Now, as a British person, you would have made many British investments overseas around the world because you're paying system karma through the UK. You're paying their debts. And really know that. Money, energy, light, you are the energy exchange vehicle for that. And it's happening because their propaganda is suppressing your being, and you're having to respond from within that. And it limits you, it limits your thinking, it limits your evolution. And it really is time to break free on all levels. And I really hope that this recording, broadcast really does that for you. It helps you just get an idea of how you can take control of your own reality, you know. And there'll be many of you that actually know me as well in the physical 3D. You know that when I do something, I do it with quite a purpose in mind. This will help. Right, where are we? So I demand a full repayment of all energetic investments, of all lineages and individuals in full for the inhabitants, living and dead, of Great Britain and Commonwealth countries, including Ireland, past, present and future, for immediate return on all historical investments ever, in every dimension, universe, galaxy that we exist upon. I hereby revoke all spiritual contracts secretly interwoven into each and every law, past, present and future. I do not consent to the passing of the laws that affect soul family migrations, soul family immigration, or systems that prevent me from uniting my complete and total soul families. I demand the instant return of all my soul family that has been denied the right to coexist with me for all of my past, present, and future lives. I revoke all rights to label soul families with sacred geometry linguistics that cross dimensions or realities. There is a solution. I do not consent to the use of sacred geometry linguistics as a means of energy harvesting. I do not consent to the use of sacred geometry cities, infrastructure, linguistics, or artwork for the purpose of domination and control. I hereby revoke all spiritual contracts that enable the government to dominate and control any person, actually any being, soul, or spirit, or other, on any timeline or dimension in Earth Mother's realms. I revoke all assumptions and presumptions of power, class, and elitism in all systems. I revoke all spiritual contracts that define sentient life as cattle or commerce. I do not consent to my life force being used for any purpose that does not heal Earth Mother, promote unity consciousness amongst all sentient kind living, unity consciousness, all cultures on Earth, and all sentient kind living and coexisting within Earth Mother, which is what we all do on a day-to-day basis. I hereby declare that Earth Mother is now in dominion with me for all forms of global government, interpersonal relations, or galactic relations for all sentient kind coexisting on Earth Mother's realms. I call forth, well, we already did, we called the ancestors to honour this spiritual contract, invocation, revocation, for all sentient kind to understand, that freedom comes with the use of free will at all times. And that raises a really good point, because we must really check the reality that we are in moment by moment, in order so you have your boundaries, what you accept as being real and what is not. So I would say with this next step of this process is that so you've stated your intention, your declaration, your spiritual neutrality in this spiritual court of equity, which is an extension of yourself. You can connect through it by remaining in a neutral state of emotion, in that meditative zone of your own source frequency. Got this. Still in that zone, you can then exchange your apologies if you need to apologize for anyone that you've affected during that process. It's taking the unconditional viewpoint of the soul. The soul is automatically giving or loving, and it has no problem with this inner exchange, because we all are each other ultimately. I am sorry, please forgive me. For example, I am sorry from the heart, and get used to those processes, bypassing ego. So when we work here, actually it's really good to mention the ego, because that will stop us in our tracks from doing this process, because it doesn't want us to resolve. Right, next step. So we've done that. Apology, yes, you've done that. I forgive you. And then it really is a process of connecting with that source frequency within you, who knows what to do, by the way, because they are directing you. So in that moment where you connect with your soul, is please create a spiritual exchange of apologies and forgiveness. and just breathe with the sensations and the feelings of that, because you will feel it, and it will feel like a whole cycle of completion has taken place. And then automatically the very final thing is with your hands on your heart. I forgive myself. Because the cultural contract revocation, which I've just explained to you, really, these people had a dramatic effect that has pretty much squashed your ancestors and lineages. And it's being, you know, it's focusing on how that is going to manifest in the future from this neutral point. So you look back, what's happened? Many British people will have their family line disconnected because of the wars that took place and are ongoing. And there are whole generations of men just wiped out. And the ones that were left behind suffered strongly. For example, PTSD, disconnection, disintegration of the family unit. We all know the story because it's been real in people's experiences, undeniably so, on an individual and a cultural level and a national level. So your soul has taken that moment and you'll feel lighter, more expansive. So with that, how are you going to do it in the future? Are you going to be free? Are you going to take repeated, disciplined action to take control of your spiritual reality and your experience in Great Britain and Commonwealth countries? Are you going to do that? Because that is what is required of you. It's this vigilance, because you do need to be vigilant about your experience and what's coming in and what's affecting you as an individual being incarnated through races on this planet. So I've already forgotten about system-based pomp and circumstance later. I've already forgotten about it. So it's all good. So I hope you have enjoyed this clarification and teaching. You have no limits. Please exercise no limits with everything you do, because that's the game changer in this reality, our combined realities. So, lovely people, subscribers, watchers, past, present and future. If you would like a session with me, my name is Angela. You can contact me at Concordia, Consularis, somewhere on this web. I'm on Facebook, I'm on YouTube, etc. Here, where I don't even know where I'm, BitChute, and a few others somewhere else. So yeah, look, if you're interested in a retreat here in Mexico, you're very welcome. We have a team that are able to focus on your specific journey and provide you with daily healings and other offerings that will bring you into a new level of integrated soul into your physical body. And it's a very technical work, it's very beautiful, and it really engage with yourself deeper as an unlimited being in a very beautiful place. Okay, so thank you. Just if there's anything else, have a good time. Yeah, do that.